Hey guys, college football update, end of season. We don't have any weeks left, so this is it. Now we're in bowl season, so I'm going to talk about the playoffs and how all that shook out. My thoughts on that, and then we'll talk about coaching hirings and firings. Don't know that this is going to be a very long update, but I did want to touch on some of these things. So let's talk about the playoffs first. How do I think it all shook out? Do I like the rankings 1 through 4? Do I think that Georgia should have been in over someone else? Or do I think Ohio State should have been in over someone else? So let's answer those questions first. Do I think that Georgia or Ohio State should have been in the playoff over another team? No, I don't. Because here's the problem, and here's what we're getting to. All right. First of all, it's getting to the point where I hate the NFL. I really do. Because the NFL, you're 7-6 and oh, they're in it. They're going to win the NFC East. I'm like, are you kidding? I mean, there is a barely over 500 team. I mean, I get it. People will say it's the NFL. It's really competitive. I understand all of that, but that's not exciting to me. I don't care. If a team is 7-6, they're underperforming in my mind. And the other thing that happens is that in the NFL, when you are 7-6 or whatever you are, the games don't matter as much. They just don't. Week to week, conference games matter absolutely. If the Panthers are playing the Saints or the Falcons or whoever, it absolutely matters whether they win or lose that game. But if the Panthers go out of conference like they're doing this weekend, they play the Browns. Well, it's going to matter for the Panthers because they're not very good this year. But if they lose the game, they're not completely out of it. So I just don't understand. To me, it's not as exciting to see a team go 9-7 or 10-6 and make the playoffs. I get it. It's the NFL, totally different deal. We can go down that road, but I don't necessarily want to go down that rabbit hole because it goes really far down. But the thing that's happening is that it's kind of creeping into college football a bit here. So let's talk about the Georgia Alabama game. The de facto national championship game, as people are calling it, and I think it's ludicrous. I just don't understand it. You're devaluing the regular season of what happened in that regular season. Georgia got destroyed by LSU. Have we forgotten that they got destroyed by LSU? Okay, I get it. They played Alabama to a really tight game. Nobody's done that this year. Good for them. Great game, great effort, great game plan going in, and everything else. But they lost. They did not win the game. And quite honestly, made some boneheaded decisions at the end of the game to lose it, and probably should have won it if they hadn't have done the fake punt and some other things that they did. And whatever, you debate that all day long. That's fine. But had a great game plan going in and almost won the game. But they did not win the game, and they had already lost a game prior to going into it. So no, I do not think that they should have been in the playoff because they had 2 losses. So you're done. You're out. Every game matters. You have to play every game. You got to win pretty much all of them in college football. You kind of have to at this point. Same goes for Ohio State. Ohio State almost lost to Maryland. Probably should have gotten beaten by Maryland if it wasn't Maryland. Should have lost that game. Barely won it. Got destroyed by Purdue. So let's not even talk about the Maryland game. Whatever, they won the game. That's fine. But they got destroyed by Purdue. I mean, Purdue could have hung 60 on them in that game, and that's ridiculous. So no. Do I think that Ohio State and Georgia should have been in? Absolutely not. No shot. Central Florida. Do I think they should have been in? No, because they play in the American Conference, and the American Conference is not good. It's fine for a non-Power 5 conference, and hell, I can even make an argument that maybe it's as good as the Pac-12 in some ways. But do I think they should have been in because they went undefeated? No, I don't. I think they're a good team. Obviously, I certainly wouldn't want to play them, and obviously nobody else does either, and that's why they're not scheduling them. So is it fair that they're out? I don't know. It's an argument for another day, but. But do I think they should be in just because they're undefeated? No. Do I think Coastal Carolina should be in because they win the Sun Belt? I mean, think about it. This is the same argument. This is what we're talking about. So Coastal Carolina wins the Sun Belt. Should they be in because they beat Georgia Southern and Georgia State? Is this a joke? I mean, there's FCS teams basically. So enough with it. Then I hear the Notre Dame should be in a conference and it's ludicrous. Whatever. All right. So here we go with this one too, and I don't understand this either. So let's put Notre Dame in the ACC then. So Notre Dame's undefeated going into the ACC title game against Clemson. All right. Notre Dame loses by a touchdown to Clemson. Are you going to let Georgia in over Notre Dame? I mean, are you really going to do that? I mean, I guess you could, right? But why? I mean, they're in the conference now. Now they're in the conference that you want them to be in. They lose by a touchdown to the number two team, and hypothetically Notre Dame's number three. You're going to put Georgia in over them. Georgia has two losses. Notre Dame would have one. What are we talking about? I mean, this whole thing is just so stupid that we're debating this back and forth. And again, fine, throw an FCS team on Notre Dame's schedule so they have a 13th data point. Come on, Notre Dame and USC, I believe, are the two teams that have never played an FCS team. So yes, am I proud of the fact that I'm a fan of a school that's never played an FCS team? You're damn right I am, because I think it's ludicrous that these teams play an FCS team and they say, well, we played 13 games. Are you kidding? You played an FCS team. That's not actually a game. I'm sorry. And if you can't beat that team with your third or fourth string, you have no business being ranked in the top 10 or even in the top 25 in my mind. And again, App State fans are saying, well, tell that to Michigan. I get it. It happened once to a top 10 team. Incredible win by App State. Not saying anything against it. Doesn't happen every day, obviously. And FCS teams do beat FBS teams often in a season, but it's more like Eastern Washington beating Washington State or something like that. Anyway, so enough of that. Let's get into coaching, hirings, and firings. What do I think about that? Maryland, Mike Locksley. It was an interesting story on ESPN about how Jordan McNair's dad is really close with Mike Locksley, how their kids knew each other. I'll be honest, I think that's why he got fired. I really do. I'm a conspiracy theorist. But Mike Locksley is 3-31 as a head coach. He has no business being a head coach of any program. He also punched one of his assistant coaches at New Mexico. They're trying to bury that one and not talk about it, but he did. He punched him. He also had some kind of a sexual scandal. I can't remember exactly, age discrimination, sexual discrimination suit or something while he was at New Mexico. He won 2 games at New Mexico. I think he was 2-26. And then he was 1-5 as the Maryland interim coach when they fired Randy Edsall. Based on that body of work, the guy is a terrible head coach. I have no idea why you'd hire him. Again, the only reason I can think is that obviously he has Washington, D.C. ties. He's a great recruiter and really good coordinator, no doubt. So he's got D.C. ties. And again, he's a family friend of the McNairs. It's entirely possible the McNairs said, hey, hire him and we won't sue you. Who knows? I'm making it up. I'm out of thin air. I'm an idiot in his basement making stuff up. Who knows? But where there's smoke, there's fire. All I'm saying is he's a terrible head coach. They're going to do awful. I don't see him winning more than, I don't know, five, maybe 6 games. I think it would be shocking if he did. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. I think he's going to just crash and burn. It's a terrible hire. Don't get it. Other than for the reasons I already said. Ohio State, Ryan Day. Do I think he's going to do well? Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, define doing well. Ohio State's used to going 11-1 or 12-0 every year. Do I think Ryan Day is going to go 12-0? I kind of don't. He's never had a head coaching job. What if he goes 10-2 or 9-3? Is Ohio State still going to like him? I don't think so. Ohio State is, they want perfection each and every year. I think it's a lot of pressure on a guy that's never had a head coaching job to think that he's going to go 11-1 or 12-0. He might, but I don't see it. So I think it's going to be tough sledding for him, but we'll see what happens there. Central Michigan, I have absolutely no idea how Central Michigan got Jim McElwain to be the head coach, the former Colorado State and Florida head coach. Incredible hire for them. I mean, honestly, that's one of the best hires that I've seen this offseason. Just absolutely incredible that he's there, even if he's only there for like a couple of years. I mean, Central Michigan was 1-10, 1-11 this year, so he's going to turn around. He's going to do well there. Again, nobody cares, but Kansas. Wow, Les Miles, interesting hire. I mean, look, I think it would have been great to just totally change it up. Hire somebody who ran the triple option. I talked about that in one of my updates. Les Miles is fine. The problem is that he's a non-offensive coach in an offensive league, so it's a little interesting if he brings defense and no offense. But we'll see what happens. I mean, hell, again, that is changing it up. So at least he gives some cachet to a program that really has none. East Carolina, Mike Houston, great hire for them. James Madison, head coach, won an FCS championship there. Montgomery was awful. I've been talking about him for years. Should have gotten fired last year, really. I went 3-9 every year, just absolutely atrocious head coach. So this is certainly better. I think you can do better than 9-27. I have a lot of faith in that. So East Carolina, really great hire there. Texas Tech, Matt Wells. I talked about Matt Wells being one of the coaches that I thought would be hired. I'm a little surprised that Neil Brown from Troy has not been hired yet. And he may not be. He may be waiting for a different job, perhaps Auburn or something like that to open up, although that's quite a jump. But you never know. Maybe waiting for something else to open up instead of jumping. But Matt Wells, I think he's going to do well at Texas Tech. Texas Tech, you're only going to win 7-8 games a year. They'll love you. Kingsbury couldn't get it done. Not sure how he couldn't win 7 games a year there, but couldn't. That's all you really need to do there, and they'll love you forever. So, okay, guys, enjoy the Army-Navy game this weekend. I've got Army destroying Navy. Not really, but I think Army's going to beat them. And hopefully this will be, I think, the 3rd win in a row, maybe the 4th, but I think it's the 3rd win in a row for Army, so let's hope for that. So go Cadets, go Knights, go Mules, whatever you want to call them. Let's go Army, beat Navy. All right, guys, enjoy the games this weekend. Thanks.